What I have learned about those facing adversity is that regardless their natural state, they're never cowards. They're inspired with a desire for life, inspired to defend or to push themselves to be bold beyond nature. I have no doubt that your own natural state is just the tip of a strong, very profoundly deep root of possibilities. You are continuously evolving and stretching. What comfort in knowing that you have the opportunity to command control of this complex power every day. Perhaps this is ours, and this is who we are. Do you think of things as being themselves alone? A year, a man, a life, a poem, a love, a man, a man. Of all the blues that grace this world, I love gray the best. Dream blue, rain blue, a lake blue by grey night coming down, eye blue, flight blue, name blue, graying, alone, grey by love gently, gently gone. Wise blue, saint blue, fool blue, joy blue, the grey blue in the sky and the sly wink of stone. Maybe it's not a question of whether, where, or when the flesh and the imagination meet, but how long it's been since you have joined them. And nowness. The pain, it's not so bad. Even now, a piece of peace the sky holds down. Reach out. There are some things that I will never write about, but that too is how you will know me. Or not. I always tie my left shoe fast. There are times when the spirit feeling is so powerful that physical boundaries, gravity, flesh, walls, even death seem to melt and fade in its presence. And yet, in this feeling, might well be physical itself. But why assume there is a difference at all? Would I do so if I were a giant in nightly contact with stars? Some will say man cannot fly, but his spirit can. I'm more inclined to say that if his spirit is in flight, then so is his body, and when his spirit lands, his body is returned to him in an exalted, rejuvenated state. This is so even in his body has the outward appearance of crumbled edifice or a shipwreck. The joy is in noticing the miracle. The miracle is the joy. Are you listening? Am I? It is my pleasure and good fortune to work every day of the year, set down a few words to draw and to otherwise tend to the bookish details of my elderly childhood. But the work should not more satisfy my soul than its purchases spectacle. I use it only to distinguish from the rest of the play that constitutes my daily life. For I am as silly and eager about bargaining with the shelf of pills and ER journeys as I am about giving my half-breath thoughts to what in womb flowers where my sources thrive. I do it all in sickness and in health, never quite sure that one is not the other, or both. At the same time, it should be clear from my life that I don't wait for inspiration. It waits for me, stopping, clotting, enacting the sickle of the moon like a painful thespian, and then runs ahead. Sometimes I almost catch life and breath, but of course that's just part of the game. Yet I have held her in my dreams, and it's as real as the palpable rhythm of my soul. What of someone who is happy and joyful, but unable to communicate, while those around him assume he is a miserable and a sad lass? And what of those who are miserable and sad, who assume everyone else is? Little boy blue, life is both. Life is passing, and as if each day it finds new means of escape, and is even now leaking out through my hair ends and fingertips. A joyful tingling sensation, light beyond light, darkness of a depth unimaginable, new birth, a second coming of age, my honeyed childhood on fresh warm bread just as the sun goes down, voices, wings, a strange starry canvas, and then, is it pain or just another useless part of myself falling away? And what is this earthship but a way to ply her fragrant strands of hair and her voice and meet her there? Back to the falls, but not the same falls, no. Never have we seen the water rushing so madly. Never have we heard it thundering so loudly on the rocks below. The creaking torrents, fed by laughing streams dancing across the path on one side and spilling over ferns, moss, rocks, and downed branches on the other. A dazzling of life all around. Sunlight striking the whitened tops of the firs, mist low down, hillsides and overhangs dripping and seeping, and everywhere, in everything there is joy. Clearly, all is living in this world. The idea of death is very narrow, limited, short-sighted, based on fear. A single simple lungful of air demolishes any theory of isolation and separateness. There is but one organism, and it is timeless, vital, alive, ever new in flesh, far, fossil and rainbows. Call it earth, call it soul, call it peace, call it illusion, call it imagination, call it dream, call it anything that satisfies your soul, call it love, call it home. And as long as this body is in the world, and as long as it remains lit from within, the urge, the desire, the need is to tell all, the instinct, the drive, the purpose, the dream. I am my own living and breathing confession, and by this confession my life is fulfilled. A human aware of his own clock ticking. I give you the weather as it relates to my own, which reads my palms the ticking of my own little clock. I wonder, is it possible to cultivate a patience so gentle and profound that it outlives the flesh? Or is it patience a pond we bathe in and cannot defile with our death? We were greeted by a friendly, talkative woodpecker yesterday, a young bird more intent on socializing than carrying on its regular craft and trade. Watching us from a bare trunk not far away, it seemed more child-spirited than bird. It acted as if it wanted to show us something, clinging to the smooth bark 2 or 3 feet from the ground, moving a few inches, chipping apparently without fear. Finally, when we turned to continue on our way, it pecked half a dozen times, ever so lightly on the wood, in the afternoon shadows with clouds moving in. There followed a kind of velvet hush that was as much scent as sound, enchantment, mud on our shoes, the sky's swollen now, a charcoal clean mirror running across the earth from above, bare cottonwoods, flickers call, a heron flying low, telltale the lures call it, the complexity of each inhaled smell, a slang meringue of show and tell, the birth of language, the water a man who knows how to be alone, and thereby casts her spell. I remember from my boyhood a man, son of a chungo, who survived a tragic accident and whose fear was disfigured beyond recognition, having been reconstructed by the doctors into a featureless, expressionless mask. In the waiting bay one day, the first time I saw him, I watched him place high in the third chair as he entered and exchanged friendly greetings with several men waiting, apparently honored him, although to me that age there seemed nothing to recognize but only excellence and grace. Later, when I learned about it, my grandfather told me he was and what had happened to him, and how his wife had left him after the accident because of his appearance, an outcome which seemed both terrible and understandable even then, and which to this day needs a fairy tale to rectify and to describe, but of course I have none. Something I do marvel at, though, is how even at the young age I was able to witness such a scene without betraying my curiosity and surprise. This is something I appreciate now, when people treat me as if I truly belong, even though belonging is something I no longer seek or require. I am here. Many times I have tried to reenact my moments through the wire, pulling myself out of the wreckage that is life. There is disfigurement of which I must survive and witness the world through the cracks and the potsheds of my own flaws. I see that I am here. That too is a fairy tale which explains and describes all will once upon a time. There is whatever great or little left of it for me to keep or waste or to give. It is the balmy nostalgia for waiting for the rain, a future nostalgia. I come dripping. For every heartbreaker, there is a love maker. For every flower an hour, a death, a life. Pause. Today, almost, although 4 years ago I feebly scribbled on my journal, smelling like iron and hospitals and scrubs. Hearts aren't good and goodbyes, they're lousy. They're very lousy. Hospitals, public hospitals are a dread to go seeking medical and mending from. To go looking for hope, seeking and creaking burnt rubber wheels pushing the bed, soiled aluminum foils under whose dome a life is now garbage and now human anymore. So illness, typified by the selling out each vote into a void of a ballot box. I've come to know most hospitals are deprived of healing. They're a twin port of both life and dying. You don't want no scrubs from these corridors where names are said last. Soon, immediately, they're baptized Maiti. Mauti, old beds, spring, hope heaves, deeply craving for a loaf of breath, patches of old stains deflower rough cotton sheets, smelling like the last time death suffocated life, and that very same sheet you don't want to buy air, when air is oxygen, when it is medicine, when it is money, it is expensive to afford. Private parlors, state-of-the-art wards are no less, though they say misery is more honorable, gasping for last breath inside them. They smell like dry marigold, like AC cleaning the trail of mess that the body leaves behind. Death treads softly past the nurses, reading at the desk. When morning comes, another bed is empty. Soon it's just empty beds, creased cotton and phantom memory of an if. If only it was caught early, then not be late. If only life fleets and then it doesn't know what to do, make of time left. So it kills. So it kills. Staying in dialogue, engaging in dialogue, seeking a dialogue, performing every dialogue is an expression of freedom. It alone, dialogue is not enough and must not, since what places us profoundly in dialogue with ourselves and with others? Obviously listening, and yet that's not enough. Dialogue, listening, communication, and every other possibility that puts one into relationship with the other would not be nothing. They would be of no use without thought. Said this way, we may seem somewhat trivial, but it is not. If there is no guiding thought, an open and welcoming thought, a thought disposed to one's own maturation and confrontation, no dialogue or communication or any other way to relate to others would be possible. Thought and being is the essence of humanness, of every human being. There is what remains of the problem, of which thought unites, since it is evident that even in our day, there are many thoughts that circulate, and many of them intimate a disintegration, a shattering, as opposed to a thought that creates harmony and difference. I do not aspire to be a single thought. On the contrary, but certainly to an ethical thought. A thought that it does not take into consideration personal needs when they turn into selfishness, but the needs of the community, however difficult it may be to put them together and make them fit in the same area. I am then a researcher of thought, a thing of being, a creature of confrontation with the breath of the world. Can I not try in these small ways to put my parts together and direct them towards the only good which is worth living and suffering, humanity? Being as an emotion towards others, including self. Maybe I'm looking for the moon, but I know that the moon only knows the graceful nights it offers me, shy from the world that confers little or no listening of my own seeking. And yet here we are. What do you say? And there's nothing to say. What do you conclude about that? What you can't fathom? How do you cheer someone on when you can't imagine their pain? How do you thank someone when you can't imagine their sacrifice? In times like this, I want for wiser words wise enough to encompass and encapsulate all that was loved and lost. trading on graves. I hope the beautiful angelic keys in this music finally wakes you up when it's all over and blesses your soul again and again. I don't know if this is proof of life, but my name is Umonichuk.